Right now, something invincible is happening above your head. No headlines, no breaking news, but it may decide how the next billion people connect to the world. Thousands of satellites are circling the planet, not for science, not for exploration, but for something far more powerful: the internet. Internet access now decides who can learn, who can trade, who can compete, and who is left behind. The world doesn't change overnight, it changes quietly in systems most people never notice: food, energy, money, information. At Yond Studios, we don't chase headlines. We study the forces shaping tomorrow before they arrive. This is Yond Studio, and this is the future explained. Today, two giants racing to control the future. One already dominates the sky, the other is quietly preparing its move. This is the battle for space-based internet, and it's only the beginning. We often talk about the internet as if it's everywhere, but in reality, it isn't. Nearly 3 billion people still lack reliable internet access, not because they don't want it, but because traditional infrastructure can't reach them. The modern internet depends on physical connections, fiber optic cables buried underground or stretched across oceans. They are fast, they are reliable, and they are incredibly expensive. Laying just 1 kilometer of fiber can cost tens of thousands of dollars, in some places far more. For dense cities, it is worth it. For remote regions, it isn't. Internet infrastructure is built where profits are predictable. Cities get faster speeds, rural areas get left behind, not because of technology, but because of economies. From a business perspective, connecting a remote village can take decades to break even. Sometimes it never does. This creates a digital divide that quietly shapes opportunities. Today, internet access isn't luxury, it's infrastructure. Education depends on it. Healthcare increasingly relies on it. Businesses are built on it. Government functions through it. Without internet access, communities don't just fall behind, they fall out of the modern world entirely. Satellite internet isn't new, it's been around for decades, but they came with serious problem. Traditional satellites orbit over 35,000 kilometers above Earth. The distance creates lag, a noticeable delay between sending and receiving data. Fine for emails, frustrating for everything else. Video calls, online learning, real-time services. Low Earth orbits is changing everything. This satellite orbits just a few thousand kilometers above the planet. That dramatically reduces latency. Suddenly, satellite internet feels normal. Fast enough for streaming, responsive enough for work, reliable enough for everyday life. This wasn't possible 10 years ago, but advances in rocket manufacturing and computing changed this equation. From space, geography disappears. No mountains to cross, no borders to tunnel under, no ocean to cable and cross. Every point of Earth becomes reachable at the same cost, at the same speed, from the same network. This is why internet from space matters, not as convenience, but as a good reset. And this is why the companies building it and just launching satellites, they are shaping the infrastructure of the 21st century. In the next act, we'll look at how the race began and why one company got there first. Before Starlink, satellite internet was an afterthought. Slow, expensive, and limited to a niche use case. Most companies treated space-based internet as backup, not a primary system. The idea of replacing ground infrastructure for orbit seemed unrealistic. Then, SpaceX entered the picture. SpaceX wasn't just another satellite company, it was a rocket company. And that changed everything. Traditional satellite launches cost tens of thousands of dollars per kilogram. Reusable rockets collapsed that cost. For the first time, launching thousands of satellites became economically viable. Starlink wasn't possible because of better satellite, it was possible because of cheaper access to space. Starlink didn't plan to land thousands of satellites or even hundreds. It planned to launch thousands. Each satellite was relatively simple, relatively cheap, but together they formed something new. A moving self-healing network. If one satellite failed, another took its place. Coverage wasn't dependent on a single point. It was distributed. By orbiting close to Earth, Starlink reduced latency from hundreds of milliseconds to something approaching fiber-like performance. For users, this wasn't just a faster internet, it was a usable internet. Video calls worked, online classes worked, remote work worked. For many communities, this was the first time internet felt modern. Starlink also did something unusual for the space industry. It iterated. Satellites were upgraded frequently, software improved continuously. Failure became data became better design. This wasn't traditional aerospace. It was Silicon Valley thinking in orbit. Starlink impact extends beyond rural homes. It appeared in disaster zones, in conflict areas, on ships, in air. Wherever ground infrastructure failed, the network remained. The resilience changed how government institutions viewed satellite internet. It wasn't a backup anymore, it was infrastructure. But this rapid expansion came with consequences. Orbital congestion increased, astronomers raised concern, regulators struggled to keep pace, the sky was getting crowded, and Starlink was moving faster than the rules. Love it or criticize it, Starlink proved something undeniable. Low Earth orbit internet could work at scale. And once that proof existed, the race was no longer theoretical. It became inevitable. In the next act, we'll look at the company preparing to challenge Starlink, not from a garage, but from one of the largest corporations on Earth. While Starlink was launching satellite at record speed, another company was watching. Not from a launch pad, but from a balance sheet. Amazon didn't rush, it didn't announce bold timelines, it didn't try to win the headlines. Because Amazon has never competed that way. Amazon's history follows a familiar pattern. Enter late, absorb the lessons, scale relentlessly. It happened with cloud computing. It happened with logistics, and now it's happening in space. Project Kuiper, now part of Amazon's broader LEO ambitions, wasn't designed to be first, it was designed to be permanent. Amazon's LEO network plans to deploy over 1,000 satellites orbiting close to Earth, delivering low latency, high-speed internet. On paper, it looks similar to Starlink, but the difference isn't the hardware, it's the ecosystem. Amazon already runs a large portion of the internet through AWS, streaming platforms, banks, governments, entire startups. Now imagine the same company owning the infrastructure in space and infrastructure underground. Amazon Leo is not just about connectivity, it's about vertical integration, from orbit to cloud to application. Unlike Starlink, which grew through a consumer first, Amazon is likely to prioritize institutions, enterprise, government, and logistics. Places where reliability matters more than novelty, and the long-term contracts matter more than early adoption. Amazon also understands regulation. It works with government, not around them. It negotiates, it aligns. It moves slower but safer. In a crowded orbit, that caution may become an advantage. Amazon Leo isn't trying to out Starlink. It is trying to outlast it, with deeper pockets, existing infrastructure, and a business model built for decades. This isn't a race about rockets. It's a race between philosophies. Speed versus scale, first mover versus system builder. And the outcome will decide who controls the backbone of global connectivity. In the final act, we would ask real questions. What does this battle mean for the rest of the world? It is tempting to ask who will win, Starlink or Amazon Leo. But this race isn't really about speed or even technology. It's about who controls the infrastructure the modern world depends on. In the 20th century, power came from oil, from railroads, from electricity. In the 21st century, power flows through data. Whoever controls connectivity shapes education, commerce, security. and information itself. For billions of people, space-based internet could be transformative. Remote communities gain access to education, healthcare reaches isolated regions, small businesses enter global markets. For these users, it doesn't matter who wins. What matters is that the signal arrives. But progress always carries trade-offs. Orbital congestion increases, space becomes harder to navigate, astronomy faces new challenges, and regulation struggles to keep up. When private companies move faster than public rules, the risks doesn't disappear, they accumulate. Low Earth orbit isn't owned by any country. It belongs to everyone and no one, which makes government complicated. The decision made today will shape the skies of generations, not just for internet access, but for science, exploration, and sustainability. The most likely future isn't domination. It is coexistence. Multiple networks, 7 different needs: consumers, enterprise, government, redundancy, not monopoly. The internet is no longer confined to cables and towers. It's becoming an orbital system, built quietly above our heads every day. The future won't arrive all at once. It will connect one signal at a time. This is Yond Studio. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe for more stories where technology, history, and future intersect.